So maybe settle, awesome. You can continue eating and doing whatever you need to do. We're going to start our program. Let you know what's happening here. So first of all, my name is Adrienne Kenwindo. I am a board member at Pyoca. If you haven't noticed, the board members are all wearing really awesome green tie-dye shirts. So if you want to find somebody at some point, ask us some questions. If you haven't figured that out yet, feel free to reach out to a board member. Thank you for coming today. 7 years in the making, and here we are. Hopefully we'll see you in another 70 years. No? Okay. All right, so thank you so much for coming today. You're going to get to hear about Pyoca's past, present, and future to see where we're going from here. So I'm going to introduce, I'll kind of pop up between presenters and let you know what to expect next. So first I want to introduce to you Joe Kimmel. So Joe, if you can start making your way this way. Joe is the stated clerk for Ohio Valley Presbyterian. He just got a few words of welcome for us. Maybe Joe. And if you haven't noticed or talked to Joe yet, he has a really sweet tie on. So you need to have his tie.
Beekeeper. Joe Kimmel, the beekeeper. I'm from Penalty First, ruling elder, and I'm David Clerk. Presbytery of Ohio Valley sends his greetings to all the participants, the students who have been here, the staff, student staff, the adult staff, the board members. We think this place is amazing. We really do, and exciting. And I think you all have just made it again exciting today. We do really appreciate what you do here. I spent a lot of time with churches talking about what happens after COVID and how do we recover. You know, kind of many churches are diminishing some already, but then with COVID, it was really it's a very stressful time. And I just want to compliment Pyoca, the staff, the board. You all are way ahead of everybody else. You are planning for the future, and I think the kind of changes you all are making here that I'm aware of, we're going to really have great, great potential. So we just wish you all very, very well, and have another 70.
That's right. So we're going to move into talking about Pyoca's past. I know Cal, gave a really great speech about being a camper from 1952. So another 1952 camper that's going to come and share his family's story about the time spent at Pyoca is board member Charlie Eckert. So if we give Charlie a round of applause. Charlie, if you'd like to come on up. And Charlie's family was going to join in today, but were unable to make it to share about their experience. So Charlie's going to tell us about Pyoca over the years.
Well, thank you. Charlie Eckert, and I have to correct an error first of all, because it only gives credit for us having 3 generations of Eckerts here, and actually there's 4. Back in 1952, my mother wasn't convinced this place was going to make it or not, so she volunteered to work in the kitchen to see if this was someplace where she'd send her kids. So my mom, born in 1920, worked in the kitchen here and decided that Pyoca was definitely a place that young people should come. So, but she kind of waited on me, and it wasn't until 1955, so I'm kind of one of the young ones. It wasn't until 1955 that I began coming every year to Pyoca. Shortly thereafter, in the 1960s, we followed that with my brother coming every year, and then my sister coming every year, and that got us through the 60s. In the 70s, by that time, I'd come back, I had been away, and by the 70s, I had come back, and I had 4 children. And so in the mid-70s, guess what? I began sending my children to Pyoca. And so it's all through the 70s, we had 1, 2, 3, or 4 kids at Pyoca through that period up into the 80s. Now, I will say that this is a very dangerous place because I have, for instance, I have a niece who met a young counselor here at Pyoca, and they fell madly in love, and he proposed to her and gave her her engagement ring out there in, did you see in the middle of the lake there, that little swimming area, or that little platform? Well, that's where she got her ring. And where we were amazed that he managed to hold on to it and didn't drop it in the lake. But we had several others. My daughter, my oldest daughter, Heather, had a very romantic interest in another counselor here, and by the name of Scott Hicks. And you can see examples. You can see examples of his work on the cross, on the lodge, and I'm proud to say that Pyoca may be one of the few camps in the United States that has a commercial stainless steel fire ring in the middle of their fire circle. And that was courtesy of Scott Hicks. Unfortunately, she left us in 1985 in a car train accident. And that's in part why you see the fire circle with her name lit there. Shortly thereafter, we had there was a minister by the name of David Clyburn that who was at St. John's, and he came up here and finally convinced the executive director here that we ought to take a week and have a work camp where we have seniors come in and actually get something done here at the camp. Well, the executive director wasn't exactly a big fan of that. And he said, oh, you're going to have a bunch of high schoolers. Yeah, you can paint, we'll set aside a cabin and we'll let you paint that. And if you get that done by the week, why, we'll be real happy. Well, you kind of had to know David Clyburn, and once he was told that, he said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to paint every building on Pyoca. Well, he kind of laughed, but that was the beginning. And for those of you who remember, everything here was red. And that was because red was the only color that we could get enough of to do the painting. But that work camp got the job done. And from that point on, in the mid-'80s, from then on, we began having work camps. And quite honestly, many of the big projects that were done here, we re-roofed all the buildings as well as painting them. We put in major water lines. We ran the water line to the lodge here. And surprisingly enough, we did a great job on it, we thought. Now, if you talk to Mike, he may not agree because recently he just had to replace that line, but for 40 years, it did a pretty good job. We really enjoyed the work camp and the work we did there because part of the the reason that we were doing the work camp was as much a teaching role as it was getting work done. So we were really happy to see high schoolers who hadn't run a chainsaw. Well, guess what? That's something you can do at work camp. Or you hadn't run a drill, or you hadn't run a sander, or whatever. And we had to have all those things done, and all of us, the overseers couldn't do it all. And so one of the major projects that we took upon ourselves is building bridges, my personal favorite. And so for a time, our claim to fame was we had built every bridge that was here at Pyoca. Now, Rich and some of the others accused me of putting bridges where we didn't need bridges just because I like to build bridges. But we got the job done. And that carried us through to about the 2000s. And then, by that time, we had my children. So currently, and up until even through this year, we've had the 4th generation of Eckerts here at Pyoca. And as I was telling Kim or one of the other counselors, one of my older granddaughters swears that she's going to live here. And that she's going to be a counselor here just as soon as she can. So I'm happy that she drank the Kool-Aid. And she's such a force. I really want to emphasize that so many of the kids really depend on you to help them. We need your help in making Pyoca available to many who cannot afford to make that commitment. And we were tickled to death to be able to have the funds to be able to do that this year. That we had so many that we could help. But it's only because that you're willing to support us and work with us that we depend on that. Now, I don't know whether I'm on the agenda for this or not, but I'm going to kind of convince a little here and say, don't give us all your money. Give us most of it, but not all of it. Because in a few more months, we're going to ask you to really dig deep. We've got some wonderful plans. Pyoca is definitely on the move. And we're excited about what's coming. Just a tiny hint. You see the chapel down there? Keep it! Well, there's no question about keeping it. But you're going to be very happy with the way that ends up. Especially when you can be there and it's air conditioned and that there's a restroom there. But more to come. And so that's why I say, give us most of your money for the scholarships, but save a little bit back. Thank you.
You got a little past, present, and future there. So thank you, Charlie, for sharing your family's story with Pyoca. Obviously, we can see that there are a lot of memories and emotions and experiences tied into this wonderful place. So I just would like to see in our room what kind of experience we have here. So I think Cal sort of asked this if you were a 1952 camper, but I'm curious if you could raise your hand if you became involved with Pyoca in some way in the 1950s. Camper, staff member, volunteers, raise them high so people can see. Oh, if you can and you want, if you can stand, sure. So if you're able and you want to stand, you may do that. Go for it. There you go. You're not the only one. Yeah. We're going to go decade by decade, so think about when you got connected with Pyoca. Stand if you're able, or raise your hand if that's more comfortable if you became involved in the 1960s. at Pyoca. All right, how about the 1970s? Who became involved in the 70s? There we go. All right, how about the 1980s? Behold, there you go. Sticking out awesome. How about the 1990s? We have a this one. And then early 2000s. Let's go 2000, 2010. And then the 2010. So 2010 to 2020-ish. Pandemic in the 20s, but is there anybody who's newly involved with Pyoca since 2020? Love seeing all the multi-generations here. I always love multi-generational events and seeing who we can get stories from, who we can learn new things from. This is a great event. So speaking of Pyoca in the 2020s, Reverend Molly DeWitt is going to talk about Pyoca in the present. All right, thanks, Molly.
Let me tell you, 2022 has been a breath of fresh air for us at Pyoca because we are finally getting back to what feels like is normal here. That said, we've learned a lot over the last few years, and we've experimented a lot with new ways to do ministry, particularly living through a pandemic, like kicking off a YouTube channel for virtual programming and creating Camp in a Box so that we could connect with our campers from afar. And while we're in absolutely no hurry to go back to the days of virtual camp programming, we're grateful for all that 2020 and 2021 taught us here at camp. Those two difficult years pushed us to innovate and think outside of the box. They helped us grow our capacity to communicate with our community over social media. And now, Mike and I, especially Mike, are unafraid to step in front of a camera to talk to all of you. It even led us down the rabbit hole of getting a camp TikTok account, which you think that we would use as like a Fred the Moose dance account, but we somehow went viral this summer. I videotaped Ethan standing in front and explaining the buddy board, and we got over 1 million views on TikTok with Ethan explaining how our buddy board system works. So if you haven't grown up here, you know that we've had that buddy board forever in different iterations. And if you're down at Waterfront today, you saw a brand new buddy board down there. So who would have thought that we'd go viral for that? All of these new things that we are trying are pushing us to continue how to think outside the box and to dream of what Pyoca and our programs can look like as we move into the future. This summer was a great relief for us after 2 summers of trying to manage COVID, and that all that we wanted to do was focus on having a really great summer camp program and developing an amazing staff, and we did indeed have an absolutely amazing summer staff. Back in the fall of 2021, we officially decided to move forward once again with pursuing accreditation with the American Camp Association. And while we've been following ACA standards for many years, some things with ACA have changed, and going through the accreditation process really enhanced how we look at safety and camper care here at Pyoca. While the prep work over the course of the year was pretty intense, our site visit that we had in June went really smoothly. And while we can't announce anything until our region votes on our accreditation in this fall, we did get a perfect score on our visit. So I think we can draw our own conclusions. This summer, we continued our historic camp partnerships that we've had for decades with Southport Presbyterian Church in Indianapolis, Indiana Presbyterian Church in Vincennes, and Orchard Park Presbyterian Church in Carmel, in addition to running our regular 4 weeks of camp programming. We also continued our nearly 10-year-long relationship with Stop the Violence Indianapolis, which runs a program designed to empower girls out of the Indianapolis area. We were absolutely thrilled to be able to welcome a brand new church camp program from Witherspoon Presbyterian Church in Indianapolis. Their program, Selah Summer Camp, explored the intersection of faith, Black culture, and the importance of community. And we're very excited that they want to come back next year. We truly could not have asked for a better summer camp season. We kicked off 2 brand new programs, Family Camp and Grown Up Summer Camp, which are helping us move toward making Pyoca a ministry that's able to serve not just youth, but our community at all walks and stages of life. I can't tell you how wonderful it was to have little babies and toddlers running around here during family camp, and we cannot wait until they are old enough to join us in 2nd grade for Explore Camp. And then we had an absolute blast at Grown Up Summer Camp. Just ask if you know him, the Reverend Don Summerfield. He is a pastor at Scottsburg Presbyterian Church. He hiked himself all the way up to Mount Baldy and even successfully conquered our high ropes course, so no matter your age, you can get up and come to Grown Up Summer Camp and conquer camp. It was so much fun to be able to bring back many alumni and introduce a brand new generation of adults to camp here at Pyoca. And we look forward to many more years of growing this program. And as a quick shout out, if you sign up for our Alumni Association today, you will get a discount in 2023 to attend either family camp or grown up summer camp, so just saying. Our hopes for the future are incredibly bright and focus on growing our community and the people we serve both in Jackson County and across our state. One of the most crucial ways that we are able to do this is by making our programming more accessible, and that means expanding our scholarship fund. In a typical year, Pyoca has provided scholarships to about 1 in 6 campers. But in 2022, those numbers jumped to 1 in 4 campers requesting financial assistance. Requests have typically been around $8,000 a year. We've been able to thankfully provide that each year, but that jumped to nearly $10,000 this year. We're committed at Pyoca to making this place a place where all feel truly welcome, and that means ensuring that any camper who wants to come to camp is able to do so. When it comes to our scholarship fund, we don't ask for qualifiers and we don't want proof of financial information or need. We trust that families know what they can do and that they will tell us, and whatever's left over, Pyoca covers. We want to be able to continue offering scholarships in this way, as we are one of only few camps that I'm aware of who are actually able to do this, which means that we need the help of our community to ensure that any child who wants to experience the magic of camp is able to do so. But we don't want to stop there. Moving forward, we are seeking to have all of our year-round programs set up with this scholarship model, which means we need to continue growing our scholarship fund. This will help us make our women's retreats, our fall youth retreat, our confirmation retreat, quilting retreats, and all the retreats we haven't even dreamed up yet, accessible to members of our community. After a world of living with COVID, I have seen the true power of coming into an intentional Christian community where you're accepted and loved for who you are, and what that means not only for our youth, but for the adults and families that we serve. In order to continue our mission to be a place where all are welcome in God's love to explore, grow, rest, and play, we need the support of our beloved community. There's a lot more that we have to look forward to, so I will turn it over to our board president, Rob Peterson, to share a bit about Pyoca's move to independence.
Thank you, Molly, and on behalf of the board, thank you all for coming today and being a part of this celebration. It's really exciting to see all of you and to get a chance to experience Pyoca together. We've heard a lot already about Pyoca's past, the strong foundation that has been built. We've heard about the exciting programs that are in existence today. I want to just offer a few words about future perspective from a board outlook, and then Mike's going to finish up with some specifics about the near-term future. Today, we celebrate 70 years of ministry together in this place. Our goal and our task is to ensure that 70 years from now, generations yet to come will still find Pyoca as a place, as Molly said, where all God's children can gather to explore, grow, rest, and play. One means to that end was to establish ourselves as an independent, nonprofit ministry, still closely linked to our Presbyterian heritage, values, and partners. It has taken us over 4 years But we've accomplished that with the support of our two partner presbyteries, Ohio Valley Presbytery and the Presbytery of Whitewater Valley. We are now working on the final step in that process, which is the transfer of the property and the assets from Whitewater Valley Presbytery to our new nonprofit ministry. And we hope to have that completed before the end of this year. Now, you may ask, why is it so important for Pyoca to become an independent nonprofit ministry? Well, really, there are three reasons. The first is in order to fully empower the Pyoca board and staff with the responsibility and authority for Pyoca's future. Not to have it resting within some presbytery ministry in Indianapolis or some other location, but to make sure that those who are most invested in this place, in this program, are the ones that are accountable for its success. Secondly, to enable us to expand our ministry and programs, again, as you heard from Molly, so that we can reach into new communities and invite more individuals, congregations, and organizations to join with us. And that's the third reason, is to expand our base of support. You've already been asked a couple times for financial support. We're also seeking prayer support, involvement, and engagement by many people in all different parts of our program, because together we are stronger than any one of us individually. So we are currently working with consultants to think about our next strategic steps. It was actually our strategic plan from 2016 that brought us to this point of establishing ourselves as an independent nonprofit. So we can only imagine and pray about what will be the next things that we accomplish from here on out. We don't know yet the full scope of those plans. We'll have more information to share about that this fall as we continue to dialogue with our consultants. But again, the important thing to take away from this is I think that we have a vibrant and inclusive ministry here that we want to be able to share with as many people as we possibly can. So we look forward to your continuing support and your continuing enthusiasm as we move on from our 70th anniversary. Thanks, and I'll let Mike finish up with a few words.
Good afternoon. Everyone's so excited about the future. Hopefully they didn't steal everything I had to say. It'd be nice to review if they did. 70 years. What an honor it is to serve as executive director of a place with such storied history. Having the opportunity to come to work every day in such a beautiful place is a gift. Having the opportunity each year to witness the impact our staff and volunteers make on our campers, faith development, their personal growth, their confidence, is a blessing of a lifetime for me. You have heard about Pyoca's past and present. Now I want to take a minute and look a little bit about our future. As Rob shared, Pyoca is embarking on a new phase, remaining deeply rooted in our historical partnerships and programs. But we're moving forward to have the opportunity to grow and consider how we can truly live into our mission of being a place where all God's children are welcome to explore, grow, rest, and play. We have a committed and dedicated staff and a strong board of directors in place, actively working to make Pyoca a sustainable, welcoming, diverse, equitable, and inclusive place for the future. We're also working, as Rob mentioned, with Run River Consulting, a group focused on guiding camps and retreat centers through the strategic planning process. We are, since completing our initial plan with Run River 2016, we have made significant improvement to our infrastructure, constructed new rustic cabins, rebranded, and successfully navigated an unprecedented global pandemic. Now we are working to retool the 2016 plan through a post-COVID lens to ensure that we are prepared to serve the youth and families of tomorrow. Part of that updated plan will include significant upgrades to our camp facilities. Structures like the chapel, the retreat center, and even the building we're in right now are in need of renovation and upgrades for the future. Our presbyteries, congregations, and donors sitting in this room have been so generous over the years, keeping our beautiful grounds in good repair. But as we look to future growth and additional program offerings, we will be launching a capital campaign to continue making improvements and upgrades to growing our facility. Another part of Pyoca's future, which you've heard of many times today, is our scholarship fund. At the root of our mission, it is to give everyone a chance to attend camp that wants to. In our 70 years of operation, to my knowledge, no one has been turned away from camp for financial reasons, and we want to be able to do that for the next 70 years. I want to thank you all so much for your generous support today. We had a matching grant kind of kick us off this morning, if you've heard, of $7,000. We are so close to reaching that grant. We are currently at $6,400 raised today, supporting scholarships for the next couple of years. Just absolutely amazing. Give yourselves a round of applause. On behalf of our campers, we cannot thank you enough. But if you have not been over to see my friend Dave and his associate at the donation table, I really encourage, or at the alumni table, I really encourage you to visit that today, this afternoon, before you go, and help walk alongside us in ministry, making an impact in kids' lives every summer. Again, thank you so much for coming. It has just been an absolute wonderful day. So wonderful to have you here. I'm going to bring Molly back up in a moment to send us out, but just want to let you know that you are welcome to spend as long into the afternoon in fellowship and enjoying the grounds as you like. We will have the homemade ice cream and brownie sundae bar that our summer staff have been working so hard on, available shortly. So yeah, just again, thank you so much for coming, and enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
We thank you once again for your prayers, your support, and your witness to 70 years of life-changing ministry here at Pyoca. Here in this space, we are loved, we are strengthened, and we are prepared to go into the world as sanctuaries. May each one of you, as you leave this place today, carry the light of this space with you wherever you go as a witness to Christ and his boundless love in the world. Amen. Amen.
Yeah.